here with Kay Mosier. She is the manager of the Opera House here in Elkader. And Kay, this is a real joy for me. I love theater,
Yes.
but also I love this little community theater aspect. I think it's a fun niche within the wider theater community. Tell me a little bit about the Elkader Opera House.
Well, the Elkader Opera House was first built in 1903. It took the place of a Turner Hall that was on this site. Turner Hall burned to the ground, and within 4 days, the citizens of Elkader had raised $10,000.
In 1903.
In 1903. So think about that,
Yeah.
yes, to start building this structure. They broke ground in April, and by November of 1903, they had their grand opening.
Yeah, and it's been an operating theater since then.
Yes, there have been years that it wasn't as active as others. It's been used for school programs and church programs, those kinds of things, before the community theater group formed in 1966, and it's been very active ever since that.
Yeah, they've been incredibly active. Roughly-ish, I'm sure it varies from year to year. How many shows a year do you guys put on?
Well, the community theater group does a spring comedy usually, because that's what people are wanting to see these days, and then a fall major musical. In the summer they offer a week of children's theater camp, and recently they've added a black box theater that they perform right on stage and bring the audience up into bleachers on stage.
A little bit more intimate.
More
of the Senate.
intimate,
Yeah.
very much so. And every other year they do a Christmas show. Added to that is our local Keystone Chorus Barbershop Chorus. They perform every fall on the stage, usually the first or second weekend in November. And then, since the renovation of the building, we have other groups that either our theater board brings in or that people that rent to perform.
Yeah, listen, when you have such a nice space,
yes,
I'm sure there's plenty of people who would want to come in. And also, you have a very vibrant community who is interested in coming to see shows in this space.
Yes, and not only the people of Elkader come, but we have now developed a reputation, and we draw from as far away as Minneapolis and Chicago and Des Moines, Cedar Rapids. Theater folks come to see our performances as well.
Yeah, it's interesting that it's attached with the City Hall. So the City Hall's in the lower level.
Yes.
And then you have this community theater. It is a community space up here.
Yes, absolutely. It can be rented for meetings and those kinds of events as well as performances. And it is.
Yeah, it's a lovely space. And you said it was built in 1903. What kind of things have you learned, or what's the difficulties with maintaining a building of that age, and specifically a theater? Theaters are also very difficult to manage.
Well, and it's very interesting because it was privately owned when it was built.
Really? Okay.
Yes, and in the 1920s they found out they couldn't make a profit, and so they sold it to the city for the debt that they had at that point in time, and it's been city-owned ever since. Lots of things have happened to this building. The lobby area was, at one point in time, they knocked the front of the building out, lowered the floor, and that was our fire station.
Really?
Okay. Yes. And so then they built a fire station down the street and decided they would turn it into sort of a lobby, and city offices were there, and there were some meeting spaces down there. There's an area that was once the public library, and now they built a public library, so it's across the street. But the amazing thing about all those things that they did to the building, they did not change this space, where the theater space
really been changed at all.
No.
We've got this beautiful backdrop in front of us. Tell me a little bit about what is this thing, and it looks incredibly old. Tell me, what's the history behind this piece?
All right, this is called an olio, and it's dated 1914. And the story that we were told, is that a traveling salesman would come through with this canvas, and the green spaces on it would be blank, and then he would go up and down the street selling advertising, much like they do for placemats now at restaurants.
Right.
And so there are businesses on this oleo that they're descendants of the people's names that are there. The Dittmers are still in town, and there are some descendants of Binks and probably Lengths as well, and then all the others.
Yeah, this is just a giant slice of history.
Yes.
And the idea, it looks incredible. I mean, how hard has it been to keep this thing in good shape?
We found it rolled up in the attic of the building at one point in time, and so we were very careful with it, and it was getting kind of fragile, so we took it to a restorer that happened to be at the Vesterheim Museum in Decorah.
Okay.
And so they stitched it onto another piece of canvas and brightened up some of the colors, and
well, it looks.
Now we can have it all the time.
It looks great, and the idea of having a pretty solid directory of what businesses were here in town at that time is incredible. From the Studebaker salesman to the tobacco shop, a little bit of everything to give you a pretty good idea of what was going on in Elkader in 1914.
Yeah, which is amazing in itself.
Yeah, this is, I love the idea of, this type of community space where the community is incredibly active to bringing it and constantly breathing new life into it with show after show after show.
Well, and the other thing that's exciting for those of us who are here in Elkader and have been involved, it isn't just the people of Elkader, it's an area community theater.
It's Clayton County wide, even wider.
Yes, and we used to be, I think, the Clayton County or the Elkader Opera House Players, and we talked about changing it to the Clayton County Opera House Players, and it's even broader than that, so we just dropped all that off. And we are the Opera House Players by technical name, for sure, in the Elkader Opera House.
So, okay, I mean, looking forward, tell me a little bit about what shows are coming up with the rest of the season.
Sure. We just finished Children's Theater Camp for a week, so that's behind us, and now we turn our attentions to the Producers, which opens the first 2 weekends in October, which is our major musical. It's going to be awesome. And then after that, November, first weekend in November, our Keystone Chorus does their annual fall show. Followed by a week or so later, we have a John Denver tribute coming. And a couple of weeks after that, we have a duo that are doing Country Memories, which are kind of classic country songs.
Okay.
And then first 2 weekends in December, we do Fruitcakes, which is a Christmas holiday show.
That's a play. I'm sure that's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, very comedy. But we have a website that you should check out. Yeah. Actually, 2 of them. There's the one for the building itself, which is elkaderoperahouse.com. And the other one is the operahouseplayers.com. So pretty easy.
Yeah, sure. Well, it's a beautiful space, and I love theater, and small theaters like this, which is pretty intimate. I just love them. Well, Kay, thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, you're welcome. It's my pleasure.